I am Dr. Jagdish Kaur Garewal, Assistant Professor, Department of Art History and Visual Arts, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Today we are starting with the module which discusses the Delhi Silpi Chakra. In this module, the Delhi Silpi Chakra, an artist group, has been studied with a focus on its formation, ideology, manifesto and activities. Formation of the group and its development as a formal body due to the efforts of its founder members has been discussed in this module. A brief sketch of the main artist members who not only founded the society but also became role models for the aspiring artists in the capital has also been examined. By tracing the various exhibitions and activities organized by the group, their impact on the art scene, especially in Delhi, is studied in detail. The formation of the Delhi Silpi Chakra was a milestone in the annals of the artistic history of the city, as it played an influential role in nurturing art in Delhi after partition. Artists who had migrated from West Punjab in 1947 initially became associated with the All India Fine Arts and Crafts Society, which was the only art society in the capital at that point. However, due to idealistic and creative differences with the administrative members of the IFACs, these Lahori artists decided to form a new society which would not only help them but also other like-minded artists to express their creativity. We'll begin with studying the migration of artists to Delhi and its impact. The root of the formation of the Delhi Silpi Chakra lies in the tragic circumstances of the partition of the country in 1947. As Punjab was divided into East, Indian and West, that is Pakistani Punjab, the capital city of Lahore, the cultural capital of North India, remained on the other side of the new border. The upheaval caused by the partition resulted in the migration of millions of people from both sides, and part of that exodus were a large number of artists who had to leave Lahore. A number of them initially came to the refugee camps at Ambala and Delhi, before most of them settled at Delhi. The art scenario began to change in Delhi with the arrival of the artists from Lahore, such as B.C. Sanyal, P.N. Mago, Amarnath Sehgal, Ratna Mathur and Damayanti Batra, among others. Looking for an anchor around which their uprooted fraternity could gather, a number of them became members of the All India Fine Arts and Crafts Society that provided a platform for artists to show their works and was also publishing the 6-monthly art journal Rooplekha. But this turned out to be an uneasy alliance. P.N. Mago, Kamal Krishna, K.S. Kulkarni, Dhanraj Bhagat and B.C. Sanyal, who had joined IFACs, were not happy with how the society was run and felt that artists should have a greater say in all matters. Thus, over a short time, deep differences began to emerge among the members who were artists and those who weren't. Even as efforts were made to come up with some common ground, it was not to be. Outmaneuvered in a general body meeting of the IFACs, where they had decided to voice their demands, they decided to part ways with the society for good. Their desire to form a new organization which would work for the benefit of art and artists in the city resulted in the founding of the Delhi Silpi Chakra. Even as they initially came together, in opposition to the IFACs, this group was to exercise a deep influence on the art in the city through their ideas about art, artists and their place in society. The dissatisfaction with the prevailing art scene and the Artists Association in Delhi stemmed from the kind of atmosphere that they had been used to. In Lahore, the city they had migrated from, the art scene had seen debate and discussions about art and modernism in particular, with some of the protagonists being Roop Krishna, B.C. Sanyal, S.L. Parashar and Charles Fabry, among others. Associations such as the Punjab Literary League and the Progressive Writers Association also played a role in nurturing a lively art scenario in Lahore. The Punjab Literary League's journal, the Usha, a journal of art and literature, provided a platform for discussions and debates on art and showcased the works of artists in its pages. Thus, these Lahori artists came from a vibrant artistic environment, and that is what they sought to recreate through the Delhi Shilpi Chakra. One of the central figures in this changing scenario at Lahore and later at Delhi too was B.C. Sanyal, who was among the most influential figures of the art fraternity at Lahore, where he had set up a studio called the Lahore School of Fine Arts. Here, not only did he teach students and hold annual exhibitions of their work, but it also became a gathering place for artists and intellectuals in the city. This central role of B.C. Sanyal, around whom the art fraternity gathered, also continued later in Delhi. Arriving here as a partition-affected refugee, Sanyal soon set up his studio, calling it Refugee Studio. Like at Lahore, in Delhi too, his studio became a meeting point for artists from the various fields of visual and performing arts to sit and discuss art. Thus, figures from the world of theatre, such as Habib Tanveer, held rehearsals here. Critics and art historians too were part of the gatherings here. The nature and atmosphere of the studio became the nurturer of the Delhi Shilpi Chakra. Most of the artists who migrated from Pakistan had trained at the Mayo School of Art, except B.C. Sanyal, who had studied at the Government College of Art and Craft, Kolkata. Meanwhile, Delhi till date had been dominated by the artists working in the Bengal school manner, and the primary figures in this were the Ukil brothers, who had established the Ukil School of Art in 1926. Whereas artists from Lahore, who had known each other in that city, with a number of them having trained under Sanyal, had come from a milieu that had not been taken up much by the Bengal school manner. In fact, by the 1940s in Lahore, there is evidence of discussion and debate on the direction modern Indian art should take, and the Bengal school style wasn't much on the horizon here, with only one prominent practitioner, A.R. Chugtai. Now we'll discuss the Delhi Shilpi Chakra. The christening of the group was a process that went through many suggested names before deciding on one that, in the opinion of the members, was reflective of a pan-Indian character and identity, thus settling on the name Delhi Shilpi Chakra, which was formed on March 25th, 1949. The esteem in which he was held and his age and experience meant that B.C. Sanyal was elected as the founder chairman of the group. The founder members were B.C. Sanyal, Kamal Krishna, K.S. Kulkarni, Dhanraj Bhagat and P.N. Mago. Mago says that their resigning from the membership of IFAX would have gone unnoticed if they had not come together to form the Delhi Shilpi Chakra. Soon other artists joined the group, with a number of them from Punjab, along with others from different parts of the country, thus giving the group a pan-Indian character. Some of the members who joined were Ram Kumar, Satish Gujral, Harkrishan Lal, K.C. Aryan, Damayanti Chawla, Dinkar Kaushik, Jaya Appasamy, Prabha Rastogi, Srinivas Pandit, Dwarkadhish Brij Mohan Bhanot and Devyani Krishna. That fact that a number of the members of the group were colleagues in the Delhi Polytechnic College became an important element in this narrative. Apart from the faculty, such as Rajesh Mehra, a number of students of the Polytechnic also joined the group over the years, some being Jagdish Dey, Manjeet Bawa and Nilmani Chatterjee, to name just a few. All these young artists joined the group as members and expanded the outlook of the group. Initially they met in the open at Jantar Mantar, then at 7 Jantar Mantar Road, and continued to meet at Sanyal's studio at Gol Market. In fact, an important feature of the membership of the Delhi Shilpi Chakra was that the artists who became its members had trained at different art institutions in the country and overseas, such as Sanyal from the Calcutta School of Art, K.S. Kulkarni, P.N. Mago, Krishan Lal, Divyani Krishna, Satish Gujral, who had studied at the J.J. School of Art, Dhanraj Bhagat, Damayanti Chawla, Keval Soni and Gujral, who also studied from the Mayo School of Art, Jaya Appasamy and Dinkar Kaushik from Shanti Niketan, Mahinder Kaur, Bishambar Khanna and Rajesh Mehra from the Delhi Polytechnic College, with K.C. Aryan being a hereditary artist. Ram Kumar, Damayanti Chawla and Dinkar Kaushik had also studied in Paris, London and Rome respectively. This brought varied influences and experiences that enriched the functioning of the group and the practices of its members. There was a distinct modernist approach in their work that contributed immensely in making Delhi a preeminent center of art in the country. In fact, Richard Bartholomew, in his assessment of the artists of the group, traces the modernist approach initially to Lahore, tracing the influence of Amrita Shergill in Sanyal's simplification of line and color. And also a Shergillian solitude in Jaya Appasamy's work, along with intense color and single figure compositions of women. That, in his opinion, reached her via Sanyal. The group, though essentially, was by, of, and for practicing artists who formed its membership, people from other creative fields were welcomed and encouraged to interact with the group. The artists in the group were mainly those who were dissatisfied with the prevailing tendencies, such as the Bengal school, and sought to break new ground through their work. A perusal of the manifesto of the group helps identify some of the basic principles and beliefs that were shared by the members. The motto of the group was, "Art illuminates life." As Mago says, the group recognizes that art as an activity must not be divorced from life, that the art of a nation must express the soul of its people and ally with the forces of progress. The group recognized artists had to come together and work towards the progress of art, and through art, help build a virile national culture and brighter life in the country. A large number of the activities were focused towards achieving these objectives, the primary being that art should be a part of everyday life and not divorced from life. The other focal area of activity was to aid the creative growth of the artist community and particularly help its members to achieve their highest potential. Now we'll look at some of the exhibitions and other activities of the group. The first informal display of artworks of the members of the group, termed A View, was held on 1st of July 1949 and included paintings, sculptures and cartoons. The first formal exhibition of the group was held at the Freemasons Hall in Delhi from 13th to 20th November 1949. For this and other activities, the members would generally pool in their own resources, as is recalled by B.C. Sanyal. For this exhibition, the invitation cards were hand-painted. This exhibition made a mark on the art scene in the capital. The works on display were from all genres, with paintings and sculptures showing varied stylistic affinities. Some of the works that found special mention were Sanyal's Pilgrims, Krishan Lal's The Village Pond, Damayanti Chawla's Girl with Pitcher and The Washerwoman, Mago's Moonlight, and Ram Kumar's Beggars, among many others. In this stated effort to help improve the standard of art among artists and also undertake an education of the art-loving public, the group took up many initiatives over the years. One was the organization of an art training center immediately after their first exhibition. This presented an opportunity to learn from artists who had achieved eminence in their respective fields. B.C. Sanyal, Kaval Krishna and Shankar Pillai offered their time and effort for this initiative. Apart from this, they started a sketching club, set up a library, and most importantly, set up printing facilities for graphicists, thus providing very necessary infrastructure for the practice of this art form. The group was very conscious of holding regular annual exhibitions, demonstrations and discussions to promote the cause of art. P.N. Mago recounts the organizing of weekly criticism meetings and of having arranged 30 of these within a space of 7 months. These involved fruitful discussions on art, with works being brought in to be debated upon, and also demonstrations being organized in painting and sculpture. Interestingly, these gatherings were open to the general public, and people were encouraged to voice their thoughts, ask questions and seek answers. The Chakra members took it upon themselves to satisfy the queries posed. The entire effort was aimed at generating a true appreciation and love for art among the public, as the realization was strong that till art and the artist does not connect with the public or patron, it would be difficult to survive as a professional artist. The group, in an effort to take art to the people, began to organize exhibitions in public spaces such as Chandni Chowk, the university campus, among many other public sites in the city. This multi-pronged initiative did garner results for the group. As over time they became better known and were able to connect with a section of the citizenry, they slowly built up a steady clientele. Their patrons were mostly professionals such as doctors, lawyers and university teachers, along with members of the broader artist fraternity such as writers, actors and musicians. Then we'll discuss a very important initiative, the setting up of the Silpi Chakra Gallery. So another very significant initiative of the Delhi Silpi Chakra was the setting up of an art gallery, thus providing a dedicated platform to artists to showcase their work. It was the lack of this facility, as the Freemasons Hall was the only venue available at that time, that became the catalyst for this. With this aim, the group established its own gallery, the Silpi Chakra Art Gallery, which was inaugurated on 7th October 1949 and emerged as a landmark move in the city at that time. It was one of the first private art galleries and was meant to be a commercial enterprise established on the mezzanine floor of Dhumimal Dharamdas in Connaught Place. Its functioning was later taken over by the Dhumimals, as the artists of the Delhi Silpi Chakra realized that they could not cope well with its operation. In fact, the person who was employed to look after the gallery went on to open up his independent enterprise, the Kumar Gallery. The Chakra got its own premises at Shankar Market through the Ministry of Rehabilitation, Government of India, and it was here that they again began their gallery that was opened on January 13th, 1957, which initially showcased the works by its members. The group was also conscious of creating a fraternity with artists active in other parts of the country, as that would lead not just to an exchange of ideas, but also bring a greater vitality to art practices. As part of this, it became a regular feature of their annual exhibitions to invite an artist active outside the city to show with them. Thus, artists such as Sailoz Mukherjee and K.G. Subramanian exhibited alongside the Chakra members. In furtherance of this project, they also decided to initiate in a manner an exchange or reciprocal program with other artist groups in the country. Thus, in 1950, the Bombay Art Society brought their show to Delhi in collaboration with the Silpi Chakra. Later, the Chakra also held its show in the Jahangir Art Gallery in Bombay in 1958. In this show in Bombay, the Chakra was supported by figures such as Bulkraj Anand, K.H. Ara, and S. Chawla, among others. The Delhi Shilpi Chakra also did involve non-artist members such as P.S. Narayanan, who remained the secretary of the group for a number of years and even took up painting. Similarly, the critics and writers working in Delhi such as Richard Bartholomew, Charles Fabry, A.S. Raman and later Keshav Malik became closely associated with the group and wrote extensively about its activities. In fact, Richard Bartholomew's first exhibition was organized by the Delhi Shilpi Chakra in 1951. The group also displayed an independent spirit as they refused to be associated with any specific political dispensation and ensured that people from creative fields such as theatre and visual arts were invited to inaugurate their shows. Now we'll briefly look at some of the artists who were part of the group. The artists who were involved in the group brought different influences and impulses to the practice of contemporary art. K.C. Aryan's work shows the deeply felt influence of folk art and is translated into the boldly outlined, vibrantly colored works such as Jhatka or Heer Ranjha. A versatile figure who painted, sculpted, wrote on art and was a chronicler and collector of the folk art of the North, he gradually turned to abstraction, making assemblages in metal. Dhanraj Bhagat is among the pioneers of modernism in Indian sculpture. His works in the 1940s and 50s are figurative and focus on the expression of emotion. Gradually, an elimination of inessential details appeared in his work and his approach began to move towards an abstract simplification, though the figurative reference was never totally obliterated. Krishan Lal's work of the 1940s and early 50s pictures the partition displayed and the disinherited poor of the country, though he over time emerged as one of the early modern landscapists, making broadly defined panoramic scenes depicting villages in the Himalayas, the backwaters of Kerala and the bright sunlit cityscapes of Rajasthan. Jaya Appasamy, who trained in Shantiniketan and the United States, worked as an art critic for the Hindustan Times and as the editor of contemporary art publications at the Lalit Kala Academy, New Delhi, from the year 1964 onwards. Among her greatest contributions are her writings on modern Indian art. As a painter, she initially worked in watercolors and tempera before taking up oil painting, which led to her working in a larger format and with greater freedom. Initially, her works figured young girls, before she eventually focused on lyrical landscapes that convey a sense of breadth and quietude. If one takes into account the circumstances that led to the migration of a large number of members of the group to Delhi, and the sufferings of partition some of them experienced and were witness to, the early emphasis on social content in their work is understandable. This becomes visible in works such as Margot's Mourners, Satish Gujral's Days of Glory, and Desolation, and B.C. Sanyal's works up to the 1950s, as seen in his series titled Beggars, My Neighbors. Even as Delhi Shilpi Chakra eventually wound down, Sanyal continued to be a significant influence in his role as an art educator, art administrator, and senior artist. Since his Lahore days, he had travelled to the Himalayas and even later continued to visit the theatre personality Nora Richards at Andretta. He established a studio there and founded the Woodland Society for Artists, which is now known as Nora Centre for Arts, with a mandate to encourage musicians, artists, dancers and writers. It has a library and also a school for locals. The Delhi Shilpi Chakra was active for a little over a decade and a half, but even in that short time, it made a significant contribution to the art scene in Delhi and in the larger quest for modernism in Indian art. A principled Catholicity in its functioning ensured a wide representation to artists through its various activities. But slowly, the activities of the group wound down as they increasingly became involved in the question of earning a regular income, for which some of them moved to other cities. By the end of the 1960s, the decision was taken to hand over the mantle to the next generation, and B.C. Sanyal refers to the responsibilities being handed over to Jaya Appasamy, who was a lecturer at the art department. But gradually, all activity ceased, and the group today survives as a nameplate in Shankar Market. Even though the coming together of the Delhi Shilpi Chakra was not due to any common stylistic compulsion, but the collective aim of moving towards a new art that was rooted in and reflected contemporary times was greatly significant in the evolving modernism in Indian art.